Today, this video is if you are 55 or above 55 or going to be 55, because we're talking about retirement account, correct? So if you are much younger, then you have youth on your side, you have time, this video not really suitable. I will be producing one that is going to help you think of how you can build your CPF faster, like build $500,000, $1 million in your CPF. So subscribe and stay tuned for it, because this one is really tailored to answer to this question. If you have $500,000 in your ordinary account, how to park it? And maybe I can give you some context first as to why I've conceptualized this episode. The first thing is that special account has closed, correct, for all that's above 55. And I've seen in many private clients that once their special account transfers to the ordinary account, they have easily $500,000 inside. And if you're in a similar situation, I hope to share some tips with you. And without further ado, let me share with you the 7 key pointers for today's discussion so that you can skip to the chapter that you like the most. The first idea is to top up your retirement account. Let me share with you what I've answered at my recent Georgetown Finance Summit 2025. It was a very successful event at SMU. Thank you if you have been down there. And if you'd like to join us for future events, as always, look out for summaries and comments sections below. The second idea is actually status quo, keeping it in OA, earning 2.5%. I'll elaborate a bit more on the pros and cons. The third is to draw the money and move it to a high interest premier banking account. I have some popular names to share with you. The fourth is to draw the CPF OA out and pay off the loan. Actually, sometimes you may even pay directly from your CPF OA. The fifth is to draw the CPF OA to buy annuity plans. A very common question whether annuity or CPF life is better. Long story short, they both have their strengths. The sixth is to draw a CPF OA and buy bonds. Let me share with you a recently recommended idea. And the seventh is to draw your CPF OA to do dividend investing. Again, look for chapters below, and with that, I'll roll in the intro video. Hi guys, welcome back. Let's start with the first key idea, which is topping up your retirement account with your excess CPF OA. Think about this. In your CPF OA, if you have 500,000, moving some to RA is actually very reasonable. Some of the usual common questions would be, Josh, can I top up my RA account right now and in future redraw from there? Answer, no. Every amount sent into RA earns 4%, it's true, but it's a one-way ticket. Once you pump in, you cannot take it out. The second common question is, when must I choose to top up, Josh? Answer, you can top up anytime after 55. In fact, you can even top up after 65 when you've even drawn out, even when you started receiving out your CPF Life payouts. The third common question is, can I just top up 10,000 or 100,000? Must I top up to ERS, Enhanced Retirement Sum? The answer is yes, you can top up any amount. ERS, again, is just a limit. And to that point, I'd like to illustrate how to answer that question on topping up to your retirement account. Why not we think about this? Top up to your retirement account towards a targeted amount that you want. Let's say you want 2,500 per month from CPF Life. Then you target towards there and top up. How about that versus going with the rigid full retirement sum or enhanced retirement sum? No need. Go with a new concept of aiming what you want to target in terms of retirement cash flow and deposit just that amount will do. Take for example, you are 55 this year and a male. You do know that full retirement sum is 213,000 for your cohort, and it pays you projected $1,700 per month from age of 65. Going by this concept of targeted, say you want $2,500, what you can do is to simply top up $100,000 from your ordinary account now towards your retirement account. Again, this 100,000 sent in is a one-way ticket. In effect, you just send 100,000 and you keep the remaining 400,000 in your ordinary account. That still has flexibility, which I'll discuss in the next chapter. And what did we realize from this is that from 65 now, you will get $2,450. Very close to 2005, but you get the point. Aim towards a targeted retirement payout level and be at peace with whatever you send in. If you are female, I've also done the calculation to show you. From 230,000, simply top up $125,000 to your retirement account to get this targeted payout close to $2,500. Very simple, correct? a goal-oriented approach. And as always, if you have questions or if you're confused already, leave them in the comment sections. I'll try my best to answer. Today, the topic is if you have 500,000 in your ordinary account, should you move some to retirement account? Maybe you have a different amount. Then I'll give this feedback. If you feel you don't have a lot of other assets behind, a lot again is subjective because probably topping up to retirement account is not a good idea. On the other hand, if you feel you have more than enough, besides this 500,000 in ordinary account idling there, you still have other stocks, you still have an investment property, you still have other investments, you still have endowment plans, then it's quite likely a good idea to send monies into a retirement account and be at peace with that one-way ticket transfer. Hopefully I've given a good flavor of things. And with that, let's move on to the second idea, which is just to actually keep the monies remaining in Cpfoa. As you know, once you reach full retirement sum, whatever that resides in your OA is flexible to be withdrawn anytime. Common myth, you must wait until your birthday. Not true. Simply log in and do a pay now transfer out. Flexible 2.5%. Some critics would say, hey Josh, I think Cpfoa rates will change. I don't trust that you'll remain there. Yes, it is true that CPF can change some rules, such as the payout age, now 65. It could move in some future, we don't know. But in my opinion, Cpfoa 2.5% is very, very unlikely to change. Do you remember back in 2021 where interest rates was 0.5%? Cpfoa was still paying 2.5%. To that point, I have a further tip to add. If you want to keep your monies inside your Cpfoa status quo, do note that there's a daily limit transfer of $2,000 to move it out to a bank account. If you want to change it, you do need to log in and authorize. The good part is that if you keep 500,000 in your OA, you want to prevent it from being scammed away, correct? Because this is what has happened to some elderly folks. So actually this daily limit is a good idea. And with that, let's move on to idea number 3, which is to draw your Cpfoa out and move it to a high interest premier banking account. With 500,000, I think you can be offered priority banking at least. I'm not 100% sure because I'm not a priority bank customer. I have a lot of assets, but in terms of cash, if you ask me, very seldom do I have more than 50,000. So everything I know is truly from private clients' experience. So let me share with you one very popular one, which is the OCBC Premier Dividend Plus account. Firstly, you have to qualify for Premier Banking. My guess is 250,000 deposit. Again, not 100% sure. And you must move in an initial deposit of 50k to open this account. And what's different from other high interest accounts like OCBC 360 is that this Premier Dividend Plus savings account has no cap on how much you want to pump in. If you have $1 million, you pump $1 million, you can get this up to 2.95%. You need to make no withdrawals, if not there will be reset. And you need to deposit at least $3,000 per month to get this extra 0.95%. $3,000 seems a lot, but I know some private clients actually draw from Cpfoa and pump $3,000 into this account. Let me know in the comment sections again if you have further tips. We can all share and learn a bit better. And as always, smash the like button so that we can reach a bigger audience together and help each and every family become a bit better in terms of making financial decisions. Thank you very much, and let me further elaborate. They've calculated if you deposit $350,000, qualifying for this 2.95% with the steps above, you can earn $860 per month from interest income. Fantastic, correct? But again, interest rates are not guaranteed. Previously, they were paying 3.3% if I don't remember wrongly, and this has came down gradually already. And the other part is that once you open a banking account like this, you may hear sales pitches. Some people are okay with it, some people really dislike it. So again, depends on your taste for this idea. Other priority banking offers. This by CIMB is a 3% per annum, and you even get a welcome gift. Minimum deposit $250,000. They've mentioned that for April only, so if you're keen, do check whether the promotion is still available after. So if that's clear, let's move on to the fourth idea for today if you have 500,000 in your OA, and that is to pay off any loans that you have. What I see commonly with private clients. Housing loans. Now to pay it off not depends on what you have locked in, correct? If you're locked in the old scheme, say 1.5 or 1.85% for 5 years, I have seen before in cases that I do, then of course paying it off doesn't make sense. You can still earn 2.5% in Cpfoa and continue to pay this 1.85 to earn the spread. But if you're locked in with a 3.4% for example, or if you're on a floating rate, then maybe it's time to reconsider whether you want to clear that loan down or not. Question is, can you invest at more than 3.4%? The answer is yes, but in retirement, it's not so much about chasing good returns, doing leverage. It's about less headache. It's about simplifying the financial equation. So paying off the home loan is just very natural. The other thing that I see a lot in private clients is margin loan or investment policy loan. Common products bought are universal life plans and annuity plans. Typically, these are on floating rates. And if you own one and you check it, you realize that it's 3+% and the principal doesn't come down. It's an interest revolving loan only. What that means is that when you're 70 years old or 80 years old, that $1 million loan or that 5,000 loan would still be sitting there. Sometimes the size is too big to clear, and just in case you're looking for retirement planning help and to resolve difficult and thorny issues like this, look for my links below. I help clients on a fee-based approach to build retirement plans and to weigh through all the financial options such as complex topics like this. With that, let's move on to the fifth plan, which is to draw your CPFOA to buy annuity plans. Now let me share with you how does an annuity plan look so that we can compare against topping up to CPF Life, correct? Very often when this question arises, there's a hope that there's a clear-cut answer which is better. But there isn't. They all have their strengths. And over here, let me put out one example. This is if you buy a $2 million annuity plan. While you may have the amount, let me shrink it down to $213,000 to equalize versus topping up to a retirement account. How about that? So what you'll see is if you draw $213,000 from CPFOA and buy this policy, you would be getting after 4 years a monthly cash payout of $665. Again, this is projected and it consists of guaranteed and non-guaranteed components. Question is $665. How does it fare versus CPF Life? The quick answer is that if you bump to CPF Life, this 213K would after 10 years, not 4, from 65 onwards pay $1,700 per month. 665 versus 1,007. You would realize that it's a world of difference in terms of cash flow, correct? But it doesn't mean that the annuity plan doesn't work. Because what you have is that you have some surrender value of the policy. Under CPF Life, you cannot choose to cash out anything. The second part is that CPF Life, after the age of 90, would have almost no bequest amount, death benefit. But over here, as illustrated, you could have $230,000 when you pass away. All this is not including the amount of cash flow that you enjoy for retirement until your last day. What I'm trying to hint is that they have strengths. An annuity plan is especially strong by giving you control over some surrender value and also the death benefit as a legacy. And as always, the amount that you want to buy for such a plan is not fixed. Usually it's at least $100,000, but beyond that, you can choose a budget that's flexible for you. After all, there's $500,000 in your CPF OA, correct? With that, let's move on to the sixth idea for today, which is to draw the CPF OA and buy bonds. Corporate wholesale bonds to be specific. Now take note again, this is only for accredited investors, and a wholesale bond is typically in the minimum size of $250,000 and above. So if this fits what you may be looking for, let me share with you an April recommendation by IFAS, and it's actually this hobby bond that will mature in July 2029. The coupon payment is 4.35%, but if you buy at today's price, the yield is about 3.798%. And Hobby, if you don't know, is a Singapore real estate developer. Typically, real estate companies have quite a high level of debt. In this case, it's 80%, and that shows that the company has some risk versus a company that doesn't have debt. And that's why you can earn close to 4% with just a 4-year tenure bond. To summarize, IFAS believes that Hobby Land's 2029 bonds offer an attractive proposition for investors hunting for yields around 4% level. At least that's close to replacing CPF special account, and at the very least, it beats 2.5% significantly. Before making such an investment, which is quite large, make sure you understand the risks involved, and if unsure, look for a qualified advisor. Let's move on lastly to our 7th point for today, which is to draw the CPF OA to do dividend investing. Dividend investing is very broad. You can buy stocks, you can buy banks, you can buy REITs, you can buy companies that have been growing their dividends quite well, Some names I've covered before include SGX, Sing-Song, and Propnex. But stock investing is very focused. You need to be familiar and comfortable with an individual company risk. That's why for this chapter, I'll be suggesting along the lines of broad-based equity funds. Let me share with you some homework that I do. Over here, I put up 4 funds which are dividend paying out and have a long-term track record. The first one by Allianz has delivered 11.75% annualized 5-year return. The reason for this high return, which is in this dark blue line below, is that it's invested mainly into US stocks. Second name on the list is FSSA Dividend Advantage, which is a very popular Asian-focused fund. That has languished a bit with a 2.14% real return over the last 5 years. That red line over there shows that it has not cracked its all-time high in January 2021. But with its China and India focus, I think better times are ahead. The third name is one by Fidelity, delivering 8.88%. Very nice hot number. And what I like about this fund, which is depicted in the yellow line, is that it's very stable, correct? The least volatile it seems across the 4. While it's global, it's underweight US. And you'll see multinational European names as its top holdings. And last one is the fourth name, is a Singapore-focused fund by Lion Global. That is in the purple line, and from 2024, it skyrocketed up in terms of performance. The key reason is that it has banks in its top 10 names, but unlike STI Index, it also has C Limited and Grab, which gives it a bit more diversification. Any of these equity funds, I think, are pretty good in the long term, but again, make sure you understand the risk involved and make sure you have proper diversification when you add each and every one to a portfolio. For private clients, I build portfolios using some of these names, and as always, if you're keen, look for links below, and I'll sign off from here. Thank you very much for sticking right to the very end. If then, let me introduce you to some previous videos that touch on CPF. Hopefully, it can help you on your journey, and I'll see you there too. Take care as always, goodbye.